A lot of us want to be motivated by internal things rather than external things. We know we kind of should be motivated by a job well done or the actual result of the work itself rather than things like status, money, or bribing ourselves with things like Sonic drinks. But that doesn't really help when it comes down to needing to get the work done and the internal things aren't driving you, they're not very motivating. So up until now, I have always bribed myself with different things like drinks or going to Starbucks or getting a favorite lunch or whatever I wanted if I got work done. But a podcast recently finally changed my mind about that and made me realize that I think I have been doing it all wrong. He is a neurologist, I believe, at Stanford, and his podcast is called the Huberman Lab Podcast. I've listened to his podcast for a while now, and this last episode had to do with dopamine and rewards, and it was so informative. And what I found out was that we're actually sabotaging ourselves quite a bit by rewarding ourselves. So the first example he gave was this study where they had a bunch of children and the children liked drawing a lot. And then they started rewarding the kids with different things like a gold star or maybe candy, I don't know. And then after they took away that reward, the kids actually were much less motivated to draw than they even were before they started giving them the reward. So you might think, well, we're adults, so shouldn't we be smarter than that? Because we know that we're not only getting the benefit of the reward, but also the benefit of the thing we're doing. We're getting to accomplish this task that's also hopefully important to us. Yes and no. Apparently, because we have all these brain chemicals, and again, like, you should watch his podcast. I'm going to link it below because he explains this so much better than I do. I am not a scientist or a doctor, but the gist of what I gathered from the episode, especially this part of it, was that we get rewarded with chemicals when we reward ourselves with something like Sonic. So if I finish writing a blog post and then every time I reward myself with Sonic, I get dopamine from that reward, and I think a mix of other chemicals, but maybe mostly dopamine, and that confuses my brain into thinking that I only did it because I wanted the reward, not because I found the act important or motivating or rewarding in itself. So he said that in the long run, it might not happen tomorrow, it might not happen soon, but in the long run, if you're always rewarding yourself externally, over time, your brain is going to just get confused and think that's the only reason you're doing these things, and the act of doing them themselves will be much less motivating. He did say that every once in a while, he will reward himself or like give himself a pre-workout drink or something like that, so that if he's having a really, really hard day, really hard time getting motivated, every once in a while he'll throw in the rewards. But he made it sound like it's actually quite rare, and it's best to keep it really rare, if not non-existent. Another thing I realized that seems so obvious in hindsight, but it's kind of unhealthy to bribe myself like this, and maybe you're doing the same thing, because I'm kind of telling myself that I am like an animal. I'm good if I get stuff done, and I deserve things like Sonic, and if I don't deserve it. Honestly, I am so blessed in this country and with everything I have. I don't really feel like I deserve anything in the first place, but I certainly don't deserve it more because I had a productive day and not deserve any pleasures if I didn't have a productive day. That's a really unhealthy mindset. And something that also brought my attention to this was the other day I was talking to my boyfriend, and he asked me how my day went, and he said, "How was your day?" And I said, "It was really good." And he said, "Oh, did you get a lot done?" Like, he just assumed that I got a lot done, because 9 out of 10 times, if I had a good day, it's because I got stuff done. If I had a bad day, it's because I didn't get a lot done. And he's a lot the same way. A lot of us are that way. But that just kind of made me realize, like, I need to stop having everything, my entire measure of worth and happiness be based on how productive I am each day. And I don't think that bribing myself with rewards is helping. So because of Andrew Huberman's advice and reflecting on this, I'm trying to make rewards a little bit more random. I'm gonna have a reward because I feel like treating myself, not necessarily because I was good and got things done, or I was bad and didn't, so I'm not allowed to have the thing I want. If this is finally motivating to you the way it was for me to finally ditch the reward mindset, then here are a couple tips to implement this. So first is to notice the good things. So notice that satisfying feeling when you get things cleaned up, not because you promised yourself you could go out to lunch, but just because it feels good to have that thing done. Or pat yourself on the back and feel that little sense of accomplishment for whatever you did, whether it's writing a paper, getting some work done, cleaning up, whatever it is. Feel that. You don't have to like dwell on it for a really long time. Dr. Huberman also touched on this. He said, but at least let it register that it happened and appreciate it. Another thing is to just have fun with it. Wake up in the morning and think like, what is today going to look like, and what is exciting about today, and what opportunities do I have to be creative today? And those things can be really internally motivated and kind of get you excited about whatever task you're about to accomplish. Because I feel like when you're bribing yourself, you're just making that distinction so painfully obvious of like the weekdays suck, so I have to motivate myself with different things because this is miserable, and the weekends are great, so I don't need to. And that's just not a good mindset. But if you kind of try to think of the weekdays as fun too, and you're not having to bribe yourself, and you're not feeding into that mindset, then it'll make the days feel a little easier. Like I mentioned a minute ago, from what I gathered, Huberman seemed to be saying that random, infrequent rewards can be okay. So I'm not saying like totally deprive yourself and just enjoy the inherent rewards of a task. Every once in a while, treat yourself, do something nice for yourself, but don't make it every single time you do that task by any means. And then especially sprinkling in those rewards when you're really having a hard day can be a good way to get motivated when you really need the extra boost, but not as a habit. If this was helpful, check out Huberman's podcast. I am in no way affiliated with him, but that's where I learned all this, and I just think he is so interesting. Let me know what your ideas are for even internal or external motivation, because I'm really curious how people are rewarding themselves and what you think. Are you going to keep rewarding yourself, or is it something that you want to cut out and try to be more internally motivated? Thanks so much for watching. Bye.